Chapter 8, Section 1, Ratios and Proportions. The ratio of A to B, A and B have to be measured in the same units. Really quickly, a ratio is going to be, we can write it three different ways, which I'm going to show you in just a second. But a ratio is going to be comparing two different numbers, so a ratio is a comparison. You can write a ratio as a fraction, A over B, or you can write it as an A to B that way. The only thing is that B cannot be 0. Because if you think about a fraction and having a denominator of 0 or the bottom number be 0, that would be undefined. You can't divide by 0, so B could not be 0. Ratios are going to be simplified. An example of that, if we had the ratio 6 to 8, 2 can go into both 6 and 8. 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times, so the simplified ratio would be 3 to 4. Converting units. To help you convert units, 12 inches is equivalent to 1 foot. 100 centimeters is 1 meter. 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. 16 ounces is 1 pound. And 1 mile is 5,280 feet. These are conversions that you will see in this lesson, and these are some common conversions that you will have to use. This asks us to simplify the ratios. If you notice in A, we have 1 meter over 2 kilometers. When we want to simplify the ratios, first of all, remember that we said ratios have to be measured in the same units. Well, in A, we have meters and kilometers. Those are not going to be the same units. If we wanted to change meters to kilometers, that would be a decimal or a fraction, and we don't want that. So instead of changing meters to kilometers, I'm going to change 2 kilometers and write those as meters. Remember, a meter is equivalent to 1,000 kilometers. So 1 meter to 2 kilometers is the same as 1 meter to 2,000 meters. This cannot be simplified anymore because 1 cannot be simplified. The next example, we have 3 yards to 6 feet. In this example, we could actually go either way. We could change yards to feet or feet to yards. It actually doesn't matter which one you choose. I chose to change them both to yards because that way I would keep smaller numbers. So 3 yards is going to stay the same on top, but then 6 feet is equivalent to 2 yards. So it would be changed to 3 yards to 2 yards. Again, I cannot simplify. There's not a number that besides 1 that goes into 3 and 2. This example says the perimeter of an isosceles triangle shown is 56 inches. The ratio of LM to MN is 5 to 4. Find the lengths of the sides and the base of the triangle. When I'm given a ratio, first of all, we know that this is an isosceles triangle, which means my two sides LM and LN are going to be congruent. They give us the ratio of LM to MN, which would be one of the sides to the base. And they tell me that the perimeter is 56 inches. Remember, to find the perimeter, we add up all 3 sides of the triangle and set it equal to, in this case, 56. What we can do is we can let LM be represented as 5x, because in the ratio LM, the LM piece was 5, and NM be represented as 4x. Again, I'm getting that from the ratio 5 to 4. What we know is if LM is 5x, then LN is also 5x. So we can add together 5x plus 5x plus 4x equals 56. So my 3 side lengths equals the perimeter, which is 56, when we add them together. I can go ahead and combine 5x plus 4x is 14x equals 56. Divide both sides by 14, and you get x equals 4. They asked me to go ahead and find the lengths. Because x equals 4, the length of LM and LN would be 20, and the length of NM would be 16. The measure of the angles of a triangle are in the extended ratio 3 to 4 to 8. Find the measure of the angles. Extended ratio simply means that I'm no longer just comparing two things. Now, in this case, I'm comparing three things, the three angles of a triangle. What I can say about these angles, I know the three angles of a triangle have to add up to 180. I don't actually know the angle measures yet, but I do know the ratio would be 3 to 4 to 8. So I can say 3x plus 4x plus 8x, the 3, 4, and 8 are coming from my ratio, equal 180. So 3x, 4x, and 8x are all representing angle measures. When I combine 3x plus 4x plus 8x, I get 15x equals 180. Divide both sides by 15 and you get x equals 12. That's not the measure of the angles. Now I need to go back and I need to plug in 12 and multiply it by 3, which would give me 36. Multiply it by 4, which would give me 48, and then multiply it by 8, which would give me 96. I could go back in now, 36, 48, and 96, and I could add all of these numbers together, and I should get 180 because they're angle measures of a triangle. And that is true. If you add them all together, you would get 180. The cross product property says if we have, this is a proportion, if we have A to B equals C to D, then AD equals BC. This is not anything new. Finding the cross product, remember when you have an equal sign between two ratios or a proportion, you go ahead and you cross multiply, which means you multiply the numerator of one times the denominator of the other and set it equal to the other numerator times the other denominator. So cross multiplying, you've usually seen, like if you drew a circle around A and D and then kind of an oval around C to B, you would know that you needed to multiply those together. The reciprocal property says that if A over B equals C over D, then we can flip both of those ratios and we can say B over A equals D over C. So the numerators have become the denominators have become the numerators, but it's still going to be the same. When I take the cross product, I'm going to have the same values. A asks us to go ahead and solve for the proportion 9 over 14 equals 6 over x. When I find the cross product, I need to do 9 times x equals 6 times 14, which gives me 9x equals 84. I need to divide both sides by 9, which gives me 84 over 9. For today's assignment, you are going to leave fractions as improper fractions. However, you do need to simplify if you can. I can simplify 84 over 9. 3 goes into both of those numbers, so it would simplify to 28 over 3. But I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to change it to a mixed number. I'm going to leave it as a simplified improper fraction. To find the cross product of the next example, I have 8 over b equals 14 over 5. Go ahead and cross multiply. You would have 8 times 5 equals 14b, or 14b equals 8 times 5, which is 40. In this case, I need to divide both sides by 14, which gives me 40 over 14. Both of those numbers are even, so I know 2 can go into both of them, which would give me 20 over 7. Again, leaving it as a simplified improper fraction. These next two examples are a little bit different because now I need to multiply the whole thing 3 minus x times 2. I need to put that in parentheses and go ahead and distribute, which would give me 6 minus 2x equals 6x. I need to get my x's combined on one side. I'm going to do that by adding 2x to both sides, which gives me 6 equals 8x. Divide both sides by 8, and you get 6 over 8, which can be simplified to 3 over 4. My last example, again, I'm going to have to distribute. I'm going to have to distribute my 10 into 6s minus 5. And then I also need to multiply 4 times s. When I distribute, I get 10s minus 50 equals 4s. I'm going to go ahead so that I don't have to worry about negative numbers. I'm going to subtract 4s from both sides and add 50 to both sides, which would give me 6s equals 50. Divide both sides by 6, you get 50 over 6, which can be simplified to 25 over 3. Today's assignment is on page 461. It's numbers 12 through 44 even, numbers 45 through 47, 51 through 53, and 62 through 76 even.